You're standing in front of the juicer that's supposed to be the workhorse of your CAF, your bar, or even your home kitchen, and you're wondering if it's really going to live up to the promise of continuous juice extraction without turning into a constant maintenance nightmare. You've probably read a dozen product pages that scream about horsepower and stainless steel filters, but none of that helps you decide whether this machine will actually let you serve fresh juice all day without breaking a sweat. You want something reliable, easy to live with, and worth the money, not just a shiny gadget with a long feature list that ends up gathering pulp in the back of a drawer. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about what the wearing commercial WJX80 actually does when you put it to work. This is a heavy-duty centrifugal juicer built for the kind of non-stop operation you'd see in a smoothie shop or a hotel breakfast buffet. The biggest selling point is the continuous pulp ejection system. In theory, that means you can keep feeding whole fruits and vegetables and the machine will spit the pulp straight into the collection bin, leaving the juice to flow straight into your pitcher. In practice, that design does simplify the workflow. You're not constantly stopping to scrape a clogged screen. If you've ever tried to keep up with a line of customers while manually clearing a traditional juicer, you'll know how much time you save. Who should consider this machine? If you run a high-volume operation, think a CAF that serves 5 smoothies a minute during the morning rush, a hotel breakfast bar that wants fresh orange juice on tap, or a health-focused restaurant that offers Matador juices. A model that can handle continuous input is a real advantage. It also makes sense for a serious home enthusiast who plans to juice daily for a family, especially if you've already got a decent amount of counter space and are willing to deal with a larger footprint. The stainless steel filter basket and shredder disc are designed to handle tougher produce like carrots, beetroot, and even pineapples without dulling quickly, which is a plus when you're pulling a lot of juice. On the flip side, if you're just looking for an occasional weekend juicer, this isn't the best fit. The unit is built for all-day operation, which means it's bigger, louder, and draws more power than a typical countertop model you'd keep in a pantry. For a small office kitchen or a single-person household, the size alone could feel like overkill. Also, the price point is higher than most consumer-grade centrifugal juicers, so you need to be sure the volume of juice you'll actually produce justifies that investment. Now, let's get into the day-to-day experience. The first thing you notice is the motor 1.2 HP on a 120-volt line. It's not a quiet whisper, you'll hear a steady hum that's comparable to a commercial blender. That's fine in a noisy environment, but if your setup is in a quieter CAF or a boutique hotel lobby, the sound could become a subtle background annoyance. The machine does stay relatively cool during extended use, which is a practical benefit because you won't have to wait for it to cool down between batches. The pulp ejection works as advertised. When you feed in a whole apple, the shredder disc pulls it in, the centrifugal force extracts the juice, and the pulp drops straight into the collection bin. The bin is large enough to go through a full morning rush before you have to empty it, but it's not infinite. You'll still need to stop at some point to dump the pulp and give the machine a quick reset. In my tests, the pulp came out cleanly without the stringy leftovers you sometimes see with cheaper models, which means the juice you serve is clearer and tastes fresher. Cleaning is always a make-or-break factor for commercial equipment, and here Waring makes an effort to keep the process straightforward. All the contact parts are dishwasher-safe, and the brand includes a dedicated cleaning brush for the shredder disc. You can disassemble the filter basket, rinse it under running water, and pop it into the dishwasher without worrying about warping. The only snag is the cleaning brush itself. It's a bit stiff, so you have to apply some elbow grease to get the finer bits of pulp out of the disc's crevices. If you're running the juicer all day, you'll probably need to give it a quick brush down between batches anyway, so the extra effort is manageable. A practical weakness that shows up once you start using the machine in a real kitchen is the juice output speed. Because it's a centrifugal design, the juice flow is decent but not as fast as a twin-gear masticating unit would be for the same amount of produce. If you're pulling high-water content fruits like watermelon or cucumbers, you'll get a good stream, but denser vegetables like kale or spinach tend to slow the process down. That means you may need to plan ahead if you have a large